Hello and welcome to Nollywood Film Club. I'm Mr. C, a Viroko critic. I hope you're doing well. Long discussion today, as you can see. If this is your first time, please do give us a. What do they even do on this podcast? Do they like or follow? I think you can do both. I think you can at least follow. Comment on the thing. Give us your thoughts. This is a conversation that has um, caused a lot more. This is a film that has caused a lot more conversation since it dropped about a month ago in the Nigerian cinemas. So let us know your thoughts. If as you can see in the description, there's like a part 2 of a pushback. So just be aware of that. But I'm not going to say any more because it's a long conversation. I'm just going to allow you enjoy Nollywood Film Club discussing The Herd. Hello and welcome to Nollywood Film Club. We discuss Nollywood every Sunday, 6 p.m. Watts. Today we will be discussing The Herd. We'll discuss what we liked in the good. We'll discuss what we didn't like in the bad. We'll disagree in the pushback and we'll do a summary at the end. Okay. Let's start with Taz. Okay, I've forgotten already.
Okay.
Right.
Tell me last, please.
Taz, tell us what you liked about The Herd.
Tell me last.
Last, okay.
Why you not even welcoming Otas properly after I
Don't
hate
welcome
her?
me back. Tell me last.
Somebody that wants to go last. This is which kind of welcome are we doing again? Anyway, Elizabeth, tell us what you liked about The Herd. If you
Wow. You mean I am next? Okay,
Yes, you are.
actually, where do I even want to start from? Cause, first, I have to say that this film was very jarring and triggering, so, so where do I even start? Okay, yeah. Actually wrote stuff down. One of the film's most significant achievements for me is the screenplay. And it's been a while that we've seen a Nollywood movie, at least that we're reviewing, that came out maybe this year or so, that paid such meticulous attention to, say, characterization, motivation, character reveal, internal conflict, all of these bits that we see, because usually, most times, if one shows up, one will not show up, or you will not even find any, right? So I thought this was good. And it's also notable that Lani Aisida, for me, has demonstrated remarkable range, because we reviewed another movie of his this year. I think it was Say Who Die Right. So I mentally noted that down. So now when I saw and it was Lani Aisida again, I'm like, you know what? Okay, not bad. Completely moving from that different genre to this, because this is a heavy hitting. That's it for the writing and Lani. The film for me starts really quickly. It's basically ripping the band-aid off in a way that is both refreshing and immediately immersive. Another plus for me, because I think it was during the last phase, when we were talking about Domitella, that we talked about how Nigerian film no longer start quickly because everybody wants to talk about what happened 10 years prior, but this is great. Most of the performances for me, I thought was exceptional. Most of the actors that played the bandit, I'm so sorry, I'm bad with names. I tried to Google to look for the names of the cast. I couldn't get it. And I didn't want to go back to pause the movie and write the name down. I'm so sorry. The movie was very triggering for me. I really do like that they acted well. Pastor and his crew, that Latif and his crew. The police officers, that's Garba and, Similelu-San, I think. Yeah, I'm sure I remember the names. And a special mention to the actress. This babe, she was in Sugar. That was the first time I saw her in Sugar. And I thought she was, coming into her own. Then seeing her here, controlling the entire ring and calling and stuff, I thought she actually did great. Remarkably, I would love to see her in more mainstream leading roles. And also, this is arguably one of Linda Ejiofor's strongest performances since the meeting. She's been acting weirdo, stiff, madams, or maybe she's not been meeting really good directors. So I thought this was good. So which brings me to the direction. I don't know. I would leave the directing bit to Mr. Sianko, and the directing here didn't piss me off. Like, so I probably won't say much around that. But I want to talk about how I think I can argue that Daniel, in this is directorial debut, he has proven himself to be a phenomenal. I'm giving him high praise. So, actor's director, because it's clear that he excels, and he knows how to draw, raw, authentic, quiet, some powerful performances without people overdoing it, from his entire cast, which is rare and a commendable skill. Personally, I give him that, being his first time. And also thematically, the script is rich with layered socio-political commentary, exploring everything from ethnicity to religion to the power of community. It's For me, that's one of the greatest strengths, and it's also in its indictment of everyone. You could see that layer, save for the truly innocent for Landiri. No character here is perfect. So our protagonist is a very flawed man who's, at first I thought it was cold, because when his wife told you he's back, and the way he was also responding, I'm like, is that okay? Like, he has this cold interpersonal relationship, which is evidence, later you realize that this film also, his life, where it's a backdrop for the reveal that he himself is a thief. Because this entire film is, it's about him. There's a backdrop of things going on in his life, at least from his wife's perspective. Also seeing the policeman too. There was part was showing where he was dealing with his own internal conflict. I thought that was great. Another testament for me too is I really like the locations, and I like the location, and I like the set design. It really stood out to me. Like the camp beats, right? I know first and somebody who has been kidnapped before, and it was this old camp thing where they are kept in one place and given miss. It just felt well researched, and I think it's in the immersion for me. What else did I like? Not so much going on, but it's the pacing too. I think I talked about how it started quickly, but the pacing too was consistent. So that's that for what worked. We'll do the rest, and what did not work. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Elizabeth. Off to a bold, chunky, meaty start. Alana, do you want to tell us what you thought worked, what you liked about The Herd?
Okay, so good evening, guys. What I liked about The Herd, first of all, I want to give a shout out to director Daniel. I will stop calling him Kiss Daniel for a brief time now, because he's shown that he's quite good with the whole directorial thing. I feel like this was a really solid directorial debut for him. He had a lot of his colleagues on set, and one thing that I really liked was that this was an assembly of stars, basically. Like, you would turn to your they would switch to one scene and you see a popular face, and then another scene you see another popular face. And I like that despite this whole like gathering of stars for all intents and purposes in this movie, they didn't outshine the story. It wasn't a situation like with Nollywood. So often you see, and you see a movie that has like an ensemble of stars, and the story gets lost somewhere in between. But none of the stars, nobody was like taking over any scene. Everybody had their little bits that they had to do. Some of them had like 3 to 5 minutes on screen, and it was such an impactful 3 to 5 minutes. We have Kunle Remy, who lasts I don't think he lasts up to 10 minutes. And the next thing he's shot, and I think that's the first thing that kind of jars you and, makes you sit up a little. That wait, so you mean they can get rid of Kunle this early? But that's not the only person. Aside Kunle, you still see professional kidnappee MNX, who, he's in very familiar spaces again, and he doesn't last either. And then you see Jessica, blessing Jessica Obasi, and you see her, and she's just there for like how many minutes? Like, these are people that on a good day, that these are solid actors, but they don't coming, and then the entire scene is just about them. I won't even speak about you see Bolaji Ogunmola in the scene with the banker. One scene, Deyemi looking snazzy as hell. By the way, that outfit was given. Shout out to Yolanda for that outfit. Like, I was like, Deyemi, that you made this. So yeah, you see him in that one scene, and it's okay. It wasn't like technically two scenes, but he's solid there as well. So I really like that there were a lot of popular faces in this that did not take away from the story. I also liked, and this is another kudos to director Daniel. I also liked that even with the less popular faces, I mean the bandits, Halil, Anas, and Habiba, even with their performances were so solid. It was so strong. I also like another thing I liked. Thank you for Mo for mentioning the writing, because writing was so good. The characters were multi-layered. It wasn't. We keep speaking on a lot of characters not being multidimensional, being a one-way street, but they gave us characters that had depth to them. They weren't a one-way street. We had Gosi that was, he came off as a cool chap, but at the same time you find out sometime later in the movie that this guy is shady. He's not the perfect victim. You also see with Emeka, the Igbo guy that would rather not speak to this other Igbo guy that doesn't understand the language, and at first you're like, oh, this guy is kind of discriminatory. But in the next scene we see why it's important to know your language. We see that sometimes it's important to have a code between you, and that kind of takes away from the whole idea that this guy is selfish. You see where his argument was coming from. You have the criminal in Halil that is he's an ethical criminal. He's doing this, but he has his limits. He's not going to just shoot people. He's not losing his head. He's kind of grounded in his criminality. You have that's just it. There are so many characters that were layered. I also like that this movie had balance in its depiction and representation of Wazobia. I was so happy for the proper representation, that nobody got to escape this. This was a proper whack-a-mole session. Everybody was getting whacked left and right. Before you can come and say, oh, they are depicting Hausa Fulani people a certain way, they throw in the Yoruba characters that are part of this whole human, like the whole organ trafficking or the whole body part selling thing, and also kind of they are in cahoots with these Hausa kidnappers within the community. And then before you're like, oh, it's just those two as usual, bam, they throw in the whole Osu thing, and Gosi's family basically disowning him because he married an Osu. And so it brings up so many issues, societal issues, while not necessarily pandering to anybody, and at the same time not crucifying anybody. So I liked that there was so much balance in this. This was a well-written script. The direction also was, again, director Daniel, you have done very well with you. You've done very well. Kudos to you. There were certain scenes that I really liked with the transitioning thing. I think there was a scene where we go from, I can't recall now, but the scene where the police officers are tracking the kidnappers, and we see Halil confronting Sheik, Sheik confronting Halil, and then we are going between that to the police officers approaching the hideout they thought they were approaching, and when they come in, it's not Halil they are speaking to, and I liked that scene. I liked how they handled that scene. I kind of knew what was coming, but it didn't make it any less impressive because it was well done. There was another transition, I believe, that went from like the hospital scene, and then the transition to the, what do they call it? They transitioned to the forest, and the transition was like the camera shifted, and then we catch a tree trunk more or less as they transition to the forest. So I thought that was also well done. I also liked some lines from this when Linda Ejiofor's character Adama, when Adama says, when they ask Adama about how far she's gone with the ransom thing, and she says, I have some of the money, and Habiba says, well, would you like me to send some of your husband to you? I thought that was a nice line. And Linda Ejiofor's performance too was very, very good. There were a lot of set performances, but Linda was also very good. I'm so sorry for for my time, so I'll stop here.
All right. Thanks, Alana. Who's next, Mrs. C, on the list?
Next is Indika.
It's Nduka. All right. Okay.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, Nduka. Tell us what you liked about The Herd.
To be fair, I enjoyed myself watching The Head. I found it very interesting and very dramatic. Dramatic mostly in a good way. I found that it really leaned into the drama. It leaned into everything that is supposed to make you feel either afraid or either make you stand up. Really, it just leaned into it. No surface level touching of issues or whatever. It just starts out immediately by the kidnapping and killing of some people. So it's already showing you how insecure Nigeria is at the moment. So it's timely in that sense. And I like where the story takes us. I enjoyed especially the internal conflict within the bandits. Are they kidnappers or whatever. I really enjoyed that internal conflict. I felt because of how chaotic the three of the bandits, that's the boss girl bandits, Halil, her husband, and the other bandit that just wanted to kill everybody. I feel like that trio, they really got me through I enjoyed just watching them. The three of them had chemistry. Every time the three of them was just on scene arguing about their plans, I really just enjoyed watching them. And because they were chaotic in their plans, I really started being I felt the fear that the the kidnapped, the abducted people were feeling, because I was like, I just don't even know what they are doing. There's another case with the Sheik. They fought, there was a whole fight with the Sheik, and I was like, wow, these people are really in the pit, because the people that kidnapped them don't even know what they are doing. So I felt genuine fear, and I thought that was very well written. So talking about how well written it is, I like that even though the story does take us to wild places, it it manages to explore some real contemporary Nigeria issues. Like, for example, the Osu. I did not expect the Osu thing. I was like, oh, this woman already has cancer. They've kidnapped her husband. Oh, she's also Osu. I was like, wow, from where? And before you knew it, I was like, no wonder, right? No wonder she and her husband's relationship feels the way it feels. It feels like it is burdened by, it has always felt like it was burdened by something else. I thought it was just the cancer. But it's not just cancer, it's disapproval of the parents because of the discrimination they feel towards the woman itself. So I just enjoyed how well that was written too. So as I was saying, like, the subplots go crazy. Linda's character has cancer, her husband is kidnapped, she's issue. She ends up signing away the rights of all her families all in one day. She really suffered, but I'm sorry, it was really enjoyable. The performances were great. The bandits, like I've mentioned that. I also like Emeka's death, in the sense that language indeed is a code. It has always been what language is. You cannot be speaking the language your abductors or your oppressors understand when you're trying to escape them. It feels like such a throwaway thing, but I really learned so much from it. Yes, you should actually learn your what do you call it? Your people's language, because language is a code. It's supposed to be something you're telling your people. Forget communicating with the wider world. Have your people understood you in the state of barrier? Are you able to communicate with somebody, with your fellow people, and like come up together and do something? And the fact that that disconnect in the language caused his death, I really liked how that was played out. I also saw that they showed us Adam Garba's character was also a Muslim. so that I think to balance out the conversation that it's not, that this is not a movie that wants to denigrate a religion or anything. So you can see that the policeman who ends up solving all this whole thing is also himself a Muslim. I also really like how the movie ends. I just have one more thought about one single thing about it, but I like how it ends. I think this is all I can remember right now, but I really enjoyed watching the film. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Induka. Who do we have next, Mr. C, on the list? Timmy, please go on and tell us what you liked about The Herd.
I feel like people have already said. I don't know if you guys can hear me. Can you guys hear me?
Timmy, your line isn't, your listening not clear. Are you using headphones? If you're using headphones, please dispatch of your headphones so we can hear you well. Who's after Timmy, Mr. C? Howard. All right. I'll ask Howard to come in the meantime. Howard, please tell us what you liked about The Herd. By the way, if you're in the audience and you want to say what you liked, you can always just comment underneath and we'll read it out. Howard, yeah, go on if you want to tell us what you.
Hi everyone, good evening. So the most important thing I liked about The Herd was that they spoke Hausa. And here's what I mean. Typically, like in Nollywood movies where they try to portray Hausa people, whether it's movies or series, they always speak something, but that's not Hausa. And I always tweet about it. And I'm like, it's not by force. Like, every northern character doesn't have to be Hausa. Hausa is just like one northern tribe. Every Muslim character doesn't have to speak Hausa. If you can't find somebody in your set or among your cast or crew that can speak Hausa, leave it alone. Don't tell us this is Hausa when it's not Hausa. And so when I was in the theater, because that was the first place I saw it, and they're speaking Hausa, I was really, really happy about that. And that was the first time I understood that, it's not like I took send like that. I'm not even Hausa myself, but like, it's interesting that, okay, these people actually, that's when I knew that, they actually did like a percentage of like good research and good work. And then the characters were not just speaking Hausa, they were actually Hausa characters. A lot of the time, and I'm hammering on this because it was really important to me. A lot of the time, you have like a bunch of Hausa actors or Hausa speaking actors or actors who are supposed to be Hausa and they don't, I don't know, they are not speaking Hausa, they don't look Hausa, they are obviously not Hausa, and it just felt like there's always been that disconnect. Whether it's like Mohammed from Skinny Girl in Translate, who is like literally just to me speaking a bunch of stuff that I don't understand, or a bunch of like other characters. Anyway, I really liked that they were Hausa characters speaking Hausa and just it was one of the reasons why they like smashed it, because I felt like they could fully embody it. They didn't have to pretend. It was just like real. I'm not saying that like they didn't have to pretend that but they're bandits. So that's what I'm saying. I'm just like they didn't have to pretend with the Hausa. I beg. Okay. So I also liked the storyline. I really liked it. I liked the pacing. I thought it was like super upbeat. There wasn't any downtime. I didn't even notice so much time had gone when I was watching it. It was from one scene to the other. It was just, everything was just clicking and moving. And I rewatched it when it came out on Netflix and I was like, okay, I know things typically feel like that when you're watching it in the cinema. There's scarcely a time where you feel like, or to me, I've hardly ever feel like there's downtime in the cinema. But then when I watch it on like Netflix, I'm like, oh yeah, it's like a very boring 10 minutes. But then it still felt pretty okay, right? I like that the performances were great, right? I liked it very much. I liked a bunch of performances. And these are people that, of course, we know that they're like great actors, whether it's Genevieve or Daniel Etim himself. I think that the performances were great. I like that this commentary did not feel too heavy. Social commentary did not feel too heavy-handed. And heavy-handed in the sense that there were a lot of things that were happening and they were speaking on a lot of things, but then it kind of just melted into one another without feeling blocky. Oh, we're talking about Osu and the other cast. I can't remember the name. Oh, we're talking about bandits. Oh, we're talking about XYZ. This guy is a criminal. His friend doesn't want to help him. It was a bunch of stuff. But then it felt very part of the story. I like that the characters were three-dimensional and they seemed well written. And that also, whether it's like the parents, they were consistent in their character. They were consistent like till the end. Even till the end, it's not as if they saw the guy and they're like, "Oh, my son, come, you're welcome home." They're like, you haven't been kidnapped, but like a deal is a deal. Like they were so consistent. Like they literally did not give a fuck whether I was kidnapped or not till the very end. They didn't even go and hug him. Like they didn't really send the master. They didn't send the guy. And I liked that they were just like, they kept it 100 there. I like that the Habiba did not have any loyalties because it felt real. It felt like she wouldn't even have any loyalties. Like Sheikh said, she was married to Halil against her will, kind of like the way they married like those Chibok girls that they kidnapped at the time. And if you think about it, they wouldn't really have any loyalties, right? They're loyal to the person that keeps them alive. And I kind of like that just kept on. It did not feel habitual. Habitual did not feel like it was out of place. It felt very consistent with her character. And she would also betray Yakubu if maybe somebody else came and she just had to like protect herself. And Yakubu said that. He's like, oh, she's just trying to stay alive. I also liked that between the Gosi and his wife, their relationship, right? The way they kind of shielded themselves from everybody else because of the way his parents treated them now. I felt like it was also kind of reflected in how they dealt with like the police issue. They were the only ones that didn't even really go to the police. They went through one corner. And I like that it was also consistent with their character of like dealing with things on their own and stuff like that. Generally, I thoroughly enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed it when it came out in the cinema. I did not think it would be on Netflix this soon, but then I'm glad that everybody gets to watch it. And yeah, thank you very much.
If you're talking, we can't hear you.
Oh,
Sorry, he's been speaking on mute. He's very
thank you.
special.
Is Elon? Elon is not putting the mute this thing on here again. Before they used to
I'm
put
happy
it.
to let you blame Elon, to be honest.
See, this is why you don't host. Anyway,
I don't know because
all right. No, thanks, Howard. Timmy is no more on here. Who's next? Is Adabi?
Yeah, that's
Ada, please go on.
Hi, can you hear me?
You're using headphones, Sharp. If you don't mind, disconnect your headphones. Nobody is going to speak. It's just going to be you speaking. Just for now, thank you. And when you're ready, are you ready? Are we disconnected? Okay, if Ada is disconnected, if Ada who's next after Ada?
After Ada, we have Uti.
Uti, okay. Uti, do you want to tell us what you liked about the head? Ada, let us know when you have disconnected your Bluetooth headphones.
I'm sorry?
No, go on, Uti.
Okay. I feel like most people have said everything. I don't want to say too much. Not that I don't have to, but I don't want to say too much. What did I like about the herd? I did like, for Daniel Etim's directorial debut, I think I like that he went very, I like that this direction he went with. I also like some of this, I really like, I like, the performances, I also liked the locations they used. I mean, considering the kind of story they told, I think those are the kind of locations they're going to use either way. But yeah, that's mostly it. Not that I didn't like too much, but I can't remember them, and I feel like most people already mentioned most of them. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Uti. And Mrs. Who's after Uti? Huh? No, that's not back. But do we want to do? That's wanted to go last. Do we want to do NTM? Our director in the house, please tell us what you liked about the head, please, Anthony.
Now, wow. 60 years of age, it's not even getting anywhere in this Iroko place. Now, wow.
The queen is the queen.
I'm so excited that it has brought you all out of depression. I wanted to kill all of you in this Nollywood. That's my most important like. All of us that were dying of being depressed at the horrible films that we've been watching from Nollywood, at least we see somebody who is actually really thinking, you know. I'm so proud of Daniel because this is Daniel's first love. I'm sure many of you don't know. He's actually a trained filmmaker. He was in South Africa for a while training, so I'm just so happy to see his debut. And when I watch it, I just see so much hard work with the little he has. Because when you see that film is supposed to be very expensive. That should be $1 million film, and so you can do certain things. But he just managed what he had to still make the story work. And like I always say, story, story, story. This guy just touched everything without it being didactic. I mean, he even touched the fact that Igbo boy that cannot speak Igbo. You know what I mean? Which is a major thing in Igbo land in the discourse now. So many little things, and as previous people said, it didn't look like he was trying to teach us, hit it down. It just flowed into the storyline, and I'm just so proud because he must have taken a while. I'm sure if I call him, he'll probably been working on this story for a while, and that's what I always say. It takes you working on the story, making sure it's at a certain level before you bring it out. Um, um, that's what the big thing about this. I'm just so glad to see there's so many people out today that have not been out in like 2 years. Noni Sama came out. Ooh, wow. And then second thing, the actors, the girl bandits. Ooh, loved her. You know, you could just see that her soul is gone. If you know all the Chibok girls now, that's how they would be. Her soul is gone. They've taken that girl's soul. And I like the way they just hinted that she wasn't there. She didn't come there. They stole her as well. It's not like she came there of her own free will. She was once somebody that was forced to come into the group, and then now she's just trying to survive. What I also like that Daniel did is he didn't stay on things, because sometimes when there is a huge, when there is a huge thing happening, he didn't. I don't know how to explain it. Nollywood, we tend to be too dramatic about it, that this has just happened. He didn't do it. It's like, it's a story we're going. Oh, my husband is a thief. Oh, he stole 25 million. We didn't waste. My darling Linda did not waste time. She ran quickly out of that. She found a way to get out of that when the friend said she's not helping. I really, really, it was a little thing, but I really loved how Linda handled it. It's like, on to the next. I need to get this man out. But if normally Nollywood directors would just stay on it and tell you how he stole that money and all these things, and then Tinamba just sometimes you would. I almost said, "Oh my God, this woman has no soul." That was a bit, when I saw it. But there's lots of people like that. It's like they're really not fighting their son. It's the woman they're fighting. So when you see Tinamba, she wants to assert herself because she sees that this is an opportunity to get this girl out of their lives, and that little thing there I liked. So that's it. I really enjoyed watching it, and I'm looking forward to other things that Daniel will do. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Auntie. Ataz, do you want to go after us or do you want to go now?
No, I can go now. When I said last, I meant last of the queue that existed at the time, not after 100 people. But
Careful what you wish for, because
Exactly.
yeah, I
you
hadn't finished the movie then, and now I have like 10 minutes left, so it's fine. It worked out okay. Um, so for Kiss Daniel's directional debut, I did think this was really good. Everyone acting wise has generally ranged from decent to really good. I don't believe I've seen anyone act poorly. And I like that the bigger names managed not to be distracting and they were just as disposable as the other people were, or the less known actors were. So that was good. And then I think someone said it earlier because I've seen Emeka in two things and twice they have kidnapped him. So I don't know whether that's something he puts in his contract. Must be kidnapped in this movie. But uh, generally decent. I think the story is really good and it gets right to the meat of it. I enjoy the writing and the storytelling here. I enjoyed that the subplots aren't a big distraction. Like Adama's cancer is really exists in the story and does move the story along without it being, I think, its own thing. Um, I like the head terrorist and his wife. I liked it did so they're I like that they're relatively principled, although it did annoy me when he said we're not thieves, because I don't know how you're murdering people, but you draw the line at stealing. I guess to each their own. But I like that they were relatively well killed as far as decision making, and they seem to bounce off of each other. The wife actually a little more vicious than the husband. Um, I think this is really well written and very well told. I think Daniel's superpower here that other directors may not have is that he has worked very closely with a lot of these people. So it seems like he knew how to get good out of them and direct them with ease. I like the pacing of the story, and I like that it kind of goes from point A to point B relatively straightforwardly and in a way that's easy to get. And there's a lot of subtle nuances here that I like that they explored culturally as well as just um kind of the evil of capitalism. Like in a way, yeah, sure, the Islamists are kind of the face of it as far as being the actual kidnappers. However, they do show how I guess different people are also benefiting from it and why it is just not an isolated issue in that way. I thought Genoveva, I think that's her name, was really good in this. She did make me feel things. I found a lot of her acting relatively subtle and her grief portrayed very well. I do think that this film in general is very rich in feeling. And I really like how Tina Mba looks. Like her costuming, very cute, very good. And I like her role here uh exploring, I guess, a different kind of parenthood here. But I do think she is played a lot more subtly here than she usually does, and very well. Overall, generally enjoying this.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Atas. Ikwe, do you want to tell us what you like? By the way, it's just honestly, it's just by you know, uh, you being a regular, a semi regular, because I've closed shop before this. So, but tell us what you enjoyed about the head when the
Oh, thank you very much. I really hoped that to make this episode of the thing. First of all, well, as a as someone in the creative industry, there are sort of like two rules that we usually live by. It's not explicit. Number one is like that we never actually let's say criticize or downgrade another creative's work to their face, in their presence. And the second one is that no matter how bad it is, we are always very, very pleased when they make a lot of money or make or get a lot of attention from it. So for this movie, I am really glad that a combination of or a coincidence of weird timing and Trump's threat just made the movie, and the title just made it just so goddamn lucky. So it's viral for like the wrong reasons, but I am incredibly glad that the director, Daniel, is hopefully makes bank from it, from the attention. Secondly, I really liked the. we're talking about what we like. So I really, really like the Hausa, the herdsmen, they're not actually herdsmen, the kidnappers part of the movie. I thought that it elevated it incredibly, and I just couldn't wait for the camera to just switch back to them because, I was really bored with the rest of the other stuff. And I think that the acting from their side, I don't know if it was because I couldn't understand what they were saying with the Hausa, so I couldn't judge a context and tone, but I really, really enjoyed their scenes, the political infighting among the kidnappers. It was pretty well written and sort of well explored. And yeah, that's basically it. Thank you.
All right, Ekwe, thank you. Ada, I don't know if you're able to speak now. If not, did you speak? I don't think she spoke last time, right?
No, she didn't.
Right. Ada, if you're able to tell us some of the things you liked about The Herd. I don't know if Ada is there. All right. Mr. C, do you want to tell us some of the things you liked about The Herd?
Yeah. Well, it's the least offensive thing we've watched in a while, so that's a plus. I liked some of the acting. I thought the chemistry between Kunle Genoveva and Daniel was good in that car scene. I liked that. I thought I liked some of the acting. I thought Linda had some good moments. I thought Genoveva had some good moments. I think this is the most I've liked Genoveva, at least in the first two acts. What else did I like? I think someone mentioned our lead terrorist. I did like our lead terrorist. He's our lead terrorist now. Lead kidnapper. CEO, terrorist, kidnapper, bandits, fake herdsmen, all in one. I thought
Actually, CEO is different.
CEO is different. Yeah.
That was CEO.
That was CEO. I liked his performance. I thought he did well. I also don't know if part of it was just me not understanding Hausa, but I thought he at least presented charismatic demeanor. I thought he, could see his moments of uncertainty, making decisions, all of that stuff. I thought that came through quite well from him. So I liked that. While I was watching it, I was like, you know what? I appreciate the diversity considering the current tribal climate in Nigeria. I appreciate the tribal diversity for different crimes and different fuckeries going on in the film, which, if you've seen the online discourse, turned out to be pointless anyway. So basically at this point, just do what you're going to do. Don't throw in diversity for anybody. Everybody will read what they want to read at any point in time. I'm going to appreciate something that was not there. I feel like this film would have been an opportunity for it, and I really appreciate us not having a gratuitous rape scene. We know that it's part and parcel of, kidnapping and situations like this and all of that stuff. And I feel like this could have been an avenue for them to do it and do it quite poorly. And I really appreciate that they didn't do it. There were threats of it, which worked with, what was going on in the film and all of that stuff. I really appreciate that was left out of that. I think that's kind of more or less it. I think I also kind of liked the locations and stuff that were used for a bunch of things, like the difference in the church of the organ trafficking versus the church where they got married. I thought those were just kind of interesting distinctions. Like the old lady, the grandma that was spying on them and stuff. I thought it was also decent way to kind of show how these things work in a network as well. Like, you can't just, there's a lot of community support and community help that goes into keeping these things going. And I thought that was useful to have. There's also one case where they were calling massive amounts that I was like, you know what? This is not Nollywood calling stupid, figures. Cause every day we come on this internet and we see they've kidnapped someone and they're asking for 500 bajillion naira. And it's just kind of the way it is. And, I was like, yeah, that's fair. That works.
So yeah, also special shout out to Linda's hair in this film when she went to drop off ransom money. I thought her hair looked great. Yeah, that's me.
Okay. All right. So I liked the things I liked. Mr. C spoke about the chemistry in the car. What specifically I liked about that was they wrote that them singing together, like catching one of their songs, and just the way they did it, I thought that was cute. And yeah, that it was just like a really good character moment. I liked that this film, this is one of the better shot night scenes we've had in Nollywood in a very long time. Just the way the scenes looked at night was really, for us, really well. Actually, I don't even say for us. I think I just say it was well shot. And I thought it was bold and a good move to, like have Kunde remain and kill him off like, straight away, without a lot going on. So that's not, usually you have a style you kind of want to make use and do a lot with, do a lot on, with the stuff. So yeah, just the restraint and the subtlety of doing it. Auntie Em already spoke about, just a bit of subtlety here and there, just not overdoing some things. And I think that worked. And honestly, for Daniel's first film, this is just quite the ambitious project. And the way it looked, given this as his first project, was really, really commendable. Super commendable. And I enjoyed watching him like sort of figure out a lot of things, because there were some particular steps that he took that I thought, oh, this, I can see something was meant to, this is a little improvised, this thing here. And the way that he pulled, some certain things off were good. A lot of the northern actors I thought were pretty good. This doesn't have a lot of audio issues from what I remember. So I think that's also another good thing, which is highly unusual for our films. So, you know what? There's a lot to appreciate for a first time actor, first time director. And, you know, like, one other thing I was saying is that sometimes some people slap their names as director on things. And I'm like, did this person really direct this? It's so difficult to tell, but he didn't actually put himself too much in this film. He's not, like, if you see, his character is off screen. Daniel's character is off screen quite a lot. So, I was like, okay, it's actually very much possible that what he did was, you know, actually direct the film. So kudos to him on stuff like that. But yeah, I would also give this like the general looks like a film pass. You know, one of those things where you're walking about like, oh, is that a film? Yeah, that looks like a film. We don't always get it.
Have to do, but we have to do.
No, a lot of things we do just look like, you know, bad TV or like unfinished, you know, stuff. So yeah, and I love the things people said, which, yeah, that's true. But not at a glance. Yeah. The other thing I wanted to say, Mrs. has wiped it from my memory. Anyway. All right, let's just pivot to the things that we did not like. They're like 15 minutes on.
Liar.
What?
You're such a hater that you're like,
what?
And there was a good I was going to say, I forgot it. Let's move to the back.
Huh?
No, Karen.
No, there was. I'll probably remember it at a different point. Let's talk about the things we did not like. Who's starting?
Ojas, do you want to take your place?
Yeah,
No, I'm ready for that.
Okay.
You'll be at the back. Oh.
This is. What do you want to go? Which position you want to go? Second, third, fourth,
These are in
fifth,
this man that's
last?
interested in this.
I'm fine at
Those
the
are the
end. Don't
options.
worry.
Okay, okay,
Wherever you
first.
guys is fine.
Okay,
Okay.
all right.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Who's
Elizabeth.
next? Is Elizabeth? All right. Okay,
Okay.
Elizabeth, go on.
Okay, so before I continue with what I did not like, I wanted to also mention that we've been complaining about Nollywood writers writing actual sleuthing, like detectives inside, always writing some weird ass shit. This looks almost like what's well, we can say it's ambitious for Nigerian police, but at the same time, it was the sleuthing exists, but the sleuthing did not exist like Hollywood. It did exist like it would. You would assume that the Nigerian police would, you know, meet information and do what he likes with it, because I keep thinking about that scene where the policeman fumbled the mother's brother scene, and it seemed like something that would happen. It's very localized and local context. Also, another thing is we've been talking about how we don't know how to do ensembles. This seems like a very good attempt at an ensemble. Even for like Waka Pass rules, this looks like a really good attempt. All right, let's go into what we do not like first, guys. Despite strength, while the violence is often purposeful, I'm talking about that cutting scene, that horrific scene where the best man had to, chop his bestie. That scene, people of God, I paused and I'm like, do I want to continue watching this? While it is purposeful, because, for example, it's justified by later revealing that there is an organ harvesting ring, so it didn't seem like, oh, you shouldn't have, but it felt overwhelming and bothering on gratuitous. Now, the difference is not gratuitous at like Shantytown. Just like Mrs. C mentioned, I was going to write, like, I was so grateful for all the grab the other bandit guy didn't show us SSC on screen, which, thank you so much. I can kneel, but half of the time, it felt, the violence just felt a little on the nose. I don't know. I don't know if there's a finesse to showing it. I don't know. But that didn't work for me. That's one. The second thing that didn't work for me, it's actually in execution of key character arcs. I said the story had, the story at strength is the strength, but the story also in the screenplay is where my major weakness to occur. So let's talk about the detective's internal conflict. The script introduces a compelling internal conflict for the lead detective, right? We see that he needs money. They've established that. His wife was in the hospital, and it's implied, right, that he might be tempted because they keep showing us the money bit is in the hospital. However, this is never fully realized on screen. So the conflict is implied, but it is not dramatized. And I think that's also another thing where you're trying to keep all your ducks in your row. It's possible that you also miss that out. So because personally, a more effective approach would have been to show him actively tempted. Chike, like, you need to see him on the verge of either taking the money or getting tempted, accept or rejecting based on, so now you can accept or reject based on personal principles, but as it stands, this is a crucial character beat that has been left undeveloped. The other one is our protagonist's imperfection. The reveal that Daniel's character stole from his business partner, it's an interesting choice. But for me personally, even for the story, it ultimately does very little for the movie. Why does it do very little? The audience's empathy is already directed towards his wife and his kids, if possible. But the wife most especially, right? Because she's the one working behind the scene. We see that they share, as one speaker already mentioned, I think also look at that, they shared this bond. Oh, somebody else, I don't know. They shared this bond where you can see that they are ordered, right? Where the only ones that the police didn't have, their family was with the police. They were already ordered. They do things by themselves. And I think it's already an important backdrop in the story without, even if you're going to introduce this layer of complexity, but when you're confirming its imperfection, this particular one does not create a complex moral dilemma for anybody, for the viewer especially, right? Because what do you want us to do? you've only confirmed that he's a bad person, which feels like an underdeveloped thing, right? So the audience in the first place is not him that we're rooting for. We're just sad that they carried people in the first place. Like, look at this Nigeria. If somebody comes on Twitter and say they've carried 570 children, of course your heart will cut now, right? It doesn't matter if one of the child is the lead something somewhere. It really none of my business, right? But when you do nothing with that, you're not creating a complex moral dilemma, because I assume that that's what the writer was going for. So if Voli said he's a bad person, the audience, we're not rooting for him. So the reveal lacks the intended for me the dramatic weight. We are almost done. And what does it establish that is bad? Big deal. And the last one for me is his performance, Daniel himself. We can argue that, for me, I will argue that his performance is probably the weakest link. Again, I keep going back to that scene where he was speaking to his wife, like the reaction when she said, this cancer is back. This is, if you guys have dealt with cancer previously and it's back now, and that is what you're giving me. I don't know. I would just attribute it to immense pressure of, the carrying the dual weight of being a director and an actor. But that's my part. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Elizabeth. Who is next? Is it Alana?
Yeah, that's Alana.
Alana, please tell us what you did not like about the herd.
Yeah. So, quickly, one other thing I kind of liked was I think the sex scene when Zianas came upon Halil and his wife. I liked how it was done. I thought it was tastefully done. So I liked that shot. And what I did not like, I don't know, man. I would say I didn't like it so much as I'm like, not again. Like we are back to signing papers and signing deals. And I was like, like what do you mean that she's going to sign a deal to divorce her husband? I don't know if that is a deal that would have passed anywhere. But yeah, I kind of had issues with them bringing that up. I also, there were certain things with the kidnappers when they were so close to killing and they would just not kill, and I'm like, I felt like about 2 or 3 times somebody should have died, and for some reason they just like the whole scene with the police officer fumbling the name thing. I wondered why, irrespective of the distraction that came around, like you're making too many calls and clarifying too many things, and I'm like, why are they doing stuff like this? So I had issues with the whole just pushing over or pushing back rather on people being killed or just something happening to them. I just didn't. I just thought it was a lot of convenient things going on, and I agree also more with the whole things were introduced but didn't sail from the police officers' conflict that was never explored to just the cancer thing. Although I understand why some of these things were overlooked, because it was just, this is a point perhaps to be addressed later. Even the guy still himself, it was just okay, maybe they are going to do like, I don't know if they're going to do a part 2. Hopefully they do not do a part 2, but they did leave enough things on the table. So that's about it for me.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Alana. Nduka, do you want to tell us what you did not like about the herd?
Yes, can you hear me? Can I go ahead?
Yeah. No. Wait,
Hello.
who's speaking? Is it Ekwe or is it Nduka?
No, it's me now.
Okay, sorry. Both of your
Abi.
things are off. Both of your things are muted. I could not. Go on, Nduka. Speak.
Can I go now? Can I go now?
Yes,
Yes,
please
please.
go. Please go. We
Yeah.
can hear you.
Nduka, go ahead.
Okay. So what I didn't like, so the ending, right? You guys realize that the police left the others behind. They only just brought back these two, the two rich guys, the two rich people. That's Daniel and Genevieve. The others are still there with Yakubu. In fact, the NYC babe is still in the forest, and then they were not clapping for the police, and the police was. I'm like, are you guys not going to go back? And the film ended. I'm like, okay, that's insane. But I also wondered why the church that has a body part left, why a church didn't have a body part left just behind the church, and then not lock the door or just have asbestos roofing sheet as the door. A child would have wandered inside there from the school randomly or anything. It just felt a bit easy. The discovery of the body just felt like a bit handed to the police. Too much, too easy. I felt that could have been uh, done better. What else? Oh, the parts where they were chopping the body parts in the forest seemed a bit too dramatic too for me. If you, I have not done uh, body parts cutting before, but I imagine that you will not do it in the bush because it will get contaminated and you cannot sell those kidneys. How long were they in the bean sack before they had to put it in the fridge in Ekiti? Like, those things would have started decaying now, won't it? Like, again, I promise you, I have not chopped. I've done this before. Just imagine that it will happen. But anywho, what else did I notice? Yeah, the film really, like I said, the thing I like about the film is that it goes to many places and it commits, but it does commit too much to making Linda suffer, right? It commits to Linda's suffering. Nobody has suffered like Linda since Blair Blair in A Cry for Help. She only had that same day. Osu, only her signs her divorce her husband. Only her will sign away her two children, the only family that she has. Only her, she's dying of cancer in one day. And I'm like, okay, we already feel for this character. We do not. She doesn't need all of it. Like, if you get, she's already the protagonist. We are already rooting for her. We are rooting for her. We don't need. She doesn't need to now be, carry like blah blah. But yeah, so those are the things I didn't like that I can remember at the moment. Maybe during pushback I will remember the rest. But yeah, thank you.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Nduka.
Oh,
How is not on Uti, I think.
I do.
Ada's not on.
All right. Okay. So for me, I think the first thing was I started this movie, especially with the decision to like kill Kulerimi off. I was like, oh my goodness, like Dana is going to be making a lot of bold decisions in this movie, and then it keep going, and I'm like, oh, no, that was literally all. I wish he made a lot more bolder decisions when throughout the movie, and I feel like it was lacking in that. Number two, I'm so sorry, but like I did not care for the subplot, especially the subplot with the family. I feel like it took away from the movie rather than adding to it. Like I was watching and I'm just like, I don't know why this was the direction we decided to go. I do understand. Wait, before I continue talking, just wanted to make sure that you guys can hear me. Okay.
You're audible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, I think I was talking about subplots. I feel like I did not like I don't I understand what he was trying to do. I understand that like with this central theme about like the herdsmen, he was still also trying to like talk about other themes that happen, like other things that happen in Nigeria. But I feel like a lot of those other subplots they kind of suffered from from not the best writing. And third thing I didn't enjoy with this is that for some reason I feel like there wasn't a lot of research put into this. I mean, there was, but like, I don't think there was enough, especially for the central storyline. I really feel like with Nollywood movies, I think we should be okay with saying, okay, this central storyline can probably like can probably be the main thing that covers the movie. I know I guess the one thing that he was trying to do was like fill up the runtime with all these other storylines. But I feel like if we had done a lot more research into, I guess, the herdsmen themselves and all of this, and even, I mean, even some of the other kidnappees like backstories, or maybe the kidnappers' backstories, I feel like we would have used that to fill in the movie rather than all this other plots that we used. And I remember the last thing I want to say, but I think that's most of what I really didn't like about it. And another thing, especially with this storyline, I would have preferred it if this movie read a little bit more elementary, especially since it was really like based on reality, and I get that, and that's another reason I like it. But yeah.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Iti. Ekwe, yeah, go on.
Hello. Thank you. Where do I start? Let me go through my 7 pages of review. So first of all, I didn't care much for, like, someone, like the person before me said, a lot of the subplot. The cancer thing was not at all, it was not real to me. They only mentioned it like first 2 minutes, and then the guy was not with his wife, and I don't even think he believed her. I don't know. I personally do not go for the acting of Daniel Etim Effiong. I don't know that he's not a bad actor, but I do not find him at all convincing. I'm not sure how to explain it, but I didn't really, I didn't get it. And I felt like the drama began far too early, so before I could even really understand who I was watching and what I was watching, right? Like, I was sitting there, and then the next thing they were on the road, and I'm like, wait, what? And I thought it happened too fast for me to kind of get with the, with the program. I did not at all. Well, when it was discovered, I'm just reading off some news I just made while the previous person was talking. Well, when it was discovered that he stole 25 million, which I thought was an odd choice for the writers to make. I'm like, why make him a thief? Because you see, the problem is when his wife discovers that the 25 million is missing from the account, it's almost written as if he did it to solve her cancer. But he only did it after she had been treated for the last thing. So she didn't have the cancer when he stole the money, which confused me when. And then his co-founder was saying something like, did Daniel know that he was going to be kidnapped? I'm like, who asked that kind of silly question? But anyway, so that 25 million, I feel like it was, so when I am watching these things, I have an appreciation for when stories are complex. So I like reading when stuff is complex, and I like to see that. I like when the stories have these onion layers on them, where something is wrapped in something, is wrapped in something, is wrapped in something, right? But for this one, I could understand that was probably what the writer was trying to do, have a lot of plots, but they were all like frayed edges on a tapestry, right? They did not really actually interweave. Somebody just wrote them and then left the thread falling. So that whole 25 million thing really pissed me off, because I know that they were supposed to make me sympathize that he stole it for his wife's cancer. But unfortunately, maybe I am one of the only 4 people that remembers that he stole it before his wife had cancer. Something that really pissed me off, really pissed me off, maybe the most pissed off I've been this year in a Nigerian movie, is that divorce agreement thing. It's some of the most brain dead thing I have ever seen. For some reason, it would appear that the writer or the director or Daniel himself believes that just because you sign something makes it legally binding. It is impossible for you to sign a divorce agreement with your in-laws. No court of law will enforce it. I may have overlooked this point, but it is so pivotal to her getting the 25 million to actually rescue him. So it's an important pillar of the whole movie. And to me, it is crazy that anybody, anywhere, that has been to one day of school or university would ever write a divorce agreement into a movie. I do not believe it was like, the moment I heard that divorce agreement, it was like this whole movie was just an Instagram skit. I'm like, there's no way this is real. There's no bloody way that this is real. Let me just pass. I did, just a shameless plug. I happened to upload my review while we were doing this, so I attached it to the comment section of this post. So I went more into that. This broke Inspector storyline. Like I said, they had this glass onion of a plot idea coming up, but unfortunately they just didn't do it. The broke inspector thing, I didn't get it. Okay, I'm not, he's broke or he's looking for money. Okay, but then uh, because of I am a human being. When he says things like he's going to get promoted and then he will move to Lagos, I was very confused. I'm like, is it the 50K promotion that's going to solve all your money problems? Because when you get promoted, it's not like they're going to add like 500K. You're still a police officer, right? In Nigeria. So maybe like 35,500 that they will add to your account. And somehow you now want to move to Lagos, like to become an armed robber in Lagos or what? Because I didn't really get where it was going with one promotion and we will not live the life that we have always wanted to live. Which life? Ha! People that earn 500K are not even living the life that they've always wanted to live. Now, another point that I wouldn't say I didn't like, I wouldn't say I hated it, but it just did not follow with the movie's own in-universe rules, which was, people have mentioned this here, and I'm sorry I have to say it. The man who didn't actually sexually assault Darren, the bride, based on their weird code of honor. Like, they have this weird code of honor that I couldn't get behind. I mean, you can shoot somebody and cut them up into pieces. But, sexually assaulting them is where you draw the line, perhaps. Now, I agree that the writers or the filmmakers were trying to not trigger people, which I completely accept because I actually mentioned that in my review. But it could have been implied. It is just simply unbelievable that that particular bandit would not have followed through. The excuse of let's get the ransom before you do that is nonsensical to me, because why would you if your reason was let's get the ransom, why not just do it before you get, like, I don't really understand why the
Yeah,
ransom is. Yeah,
if we
yeah.
round up, yeah, time is up.
Oh, okay. Sorry. So, if I did find, while I found the bandits very interesting, unfortunately, I found these other two characters, Daniel and they're incredibly boring. I just could not wait for the camera to leave them because I didn't like them. I didn't like even the way they escaped. While the bandits were just standing there looking, it was like the weirdest thing. In the end, I didn't know what it was that the policeman actually did. And I don't know, the way they just forgot about the rest of the victims once they saw Daniel. I don't know. It was so many unresolved plots. Okay, that's it for me. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Ikwe. Mrs. C.
Yes.
Oh, wait, sorry. Otas.
It's
Otas.
okay. Forget to say more. I just got
No,
back
no,
and I'm
carry
already being
on.
bullied.
Not mind him. Not mind him. He's getting old. His memory is not as good as it used to be.
Getting
I
old. Somebody has been old for at least 5 years.
Shh.
It's true that I went to marry old man.
It's
Anyway.
me. It's me. Carry on.
Yeah, so I don't necessarily have, so even the things that I do not like don't really distract or take away, I think, from the good of the movie. Um, I do agree that the Osu subplot doesn't add anything to the story and does to a great bit to distract. I also thought it was funny when she said a deal is a deal because I don't know how you're going to enforce a divorce deal. Like, the most you can do is push for your money back. But so that part was, I thought, kind of funny. Um, and it, I think it would have been a better use of time to explore either more of the lesser known characters subplots, or even the terrorist subplot. I think we spent too much time focused on I can't remember Daniel's character's name in the story, but I think we spent too much time kind of focused on what is happening in the background of his life. It's very unimportant. It doesn't really add anything to the story and just gives him more importance to the story than he actually really has. Even stealing the 25 million ends up being ultimately pointless, doesn't add anything to the story. I guess vaguely it's distracting. Um and they had I think, many other choices that they could have made. Even Darren and Fola's love story could have been a more fun, more heartbreaking, heartfelt subplot, I think. But that really would be my one major bad. I do think Daniel so far is a better director than actor, which both works for and against him here in this movie. But yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you.
It's you.
It's me now, I know. So what did I not like about The Herd? I'm hearing a lot of complaints about the subplots, and I'll bring you all back to, I'm very sure all these subplots, these additional subplots, were his attempts at diversity considering our current climate. And that's why I say they should leave it alone for next time, because it won't work. And they ended up distracting instead of adding to the story. I'm also going to pick up from where Ekwe stopped on what did the police actually do. That's top thing in my bad. The police were massively incompetent. And on one hand, I wanted to just accept it as, yeah, Nigerian police are massively incompetent. If there's any police in the audience, I want to say no vex, but it is what it is. But this film tried to portray them as competent, which is why it's on my bad, to be honest, because I think this film thinks the police were competent. Anything that was potentially a lead got handed to them, and some of the ones that were handed to them on a silver platter were fumbled, and we don't even acknowledge that these leads were fumbled. The Apple Watch gets handed to them from a brother in Canada, and he goes, he had a smartwatch. Like, it's a big revelation. Like, everyone's not getting cooked for wearing their Apple Watches to their weddings. Then they torture, because again, we're going with iron torture scenes in Big 2025. I guess maybe Nigerian police are still doing that. And they lead them to the grandma, and I remember them talking about the grandma at the start. So I'm like, okay, they didn't get to the camp, but they've gotten to grandma. And then they just leave. They're like, oh, I guess we're back to square one. We're not going to ask this old lady anything. We're just going to go back, I guess, and keep it pushing. And I was like, all right, I'm just taking this as Nigerian police incompetence. But no, this film is portraying them as competent, which, yeah. This one is more of a nitpick, but it took me out of the story at some points, is why was everyone in their best clothes? And it might seem like a nitpick, but it made things a bit weird for me. So the day after the kidnap, the groom's parents show up, and mommy is in this badass bob with this gorgeous boo-boo. And I'm thinking, who's showing up to the police station and has laid their bob? They're in a headscarf, right? This is not the look for your son is still missing. Daddy's looking dressed to the nines. Darren's mom shows up to the police station to come talk about the ransom with the money she has gathered. Again, she's in a shiny, gorgeous, beautiful boo-boo. And I'm just, costuming is part of a story, right? Costuming is part of a story. And I'm looking at these people and they don't look like they are scrambling to get their kidnapped loved ones back to safety. Emeka's character's sister is in the police station with long bone straight that looks freshly brushed. It doesn't look like we've been sleeping in this week in the police station overnight. It looks like you got done up to show up to this place. Again, it's like you're taking me out of the story. Okay, what else did I not like? Just like honorable mention, this is the second film I've seen that people who have never dismembered a corpse before are hacking at a corpse with gusto. Daniel Etim's character hacking at his friend's dead body, like, honorable mention to the blood in this was bad, but like, it's just hacking at him. And this was something Mr. C pointed out to me in Blood Sisters. Like, these babes have never done a murder. Why are they hacking at this dead body so casually? And it was the same here. I was like, all right, interesting. Taking me out. There was inconsistency in a bunch of these characters. I know someone has called out Habiba as being a survivor and, her character and all of that stuff. I kept thinking, peace one place, make it form. There was a lot of Habiba being quite protective of the hostages at the start when they, weren't giving them water or they were being callous with how they're giving them food. And she's like, they're human beings, right? Which obviously ties back to her background as being a hostage previously herself. But then, Habiba's the one who snitches on their plan to escape, which was a shit plan. Which honestly was not grounds to shoot somebody. It was a shit plan. It was a shit plan. We were saying we're going to pee and then we'll run off. I feel like that could have been avoided with, they say they want to pee, you tell them to piss themselves. They don't have an escape route. We're all good to go. We don't lose out on any ransom. But no, we murder a hostage on the phone to his sister, so we're never collecting ransom. Mind you, we've heard a lot of stories of people who have been asked to pay ransom, never get their loved ones back, or pay ransom and get the corpses back. Because at the end of the day, the point is to keep the illusion of the person being alive until you collect the money, and then whatever happens, happens. Brings me back to these kidnappers. I know it was their first time, but they seemed very unserious about collecting this money. And there were a lot of avenues where it just kind of felt like, fuck the money. What else? And back to the inconsistency of, I know Kunle Remi's death was nice and shocking, but again, I'm not a kidnapper / bandit. I'm not rationalizing this thing. I'm just thinking in terms of money and in terms of who's more lucrative as a hostage versus as chopped up parts. I'm thinking the youth corper's more lucrative chopped up than ransom. I'm thinking the guy in the nice suit seems more lucrative as ransom. His wife's mommy found 50 million. His parents were more likely to find 50 million. Copper's parents did not look like they will see 50 million. A couple of other people that they kept alive as well did not look like they will see 50 million. But you hack them up, get a good deal on spare parts. And it also seemed more likely to shoot Daniel's character than Kunle Remi's character. He had just gotten out of the car. But whatever. Okay, this is me rationalizing kidnapping. I'm just saying if they're showing this thing as the motivation for money and, cash and all that, But whatever. I think did someone mention the sex scene with Habiba and her man's being tasteful? I thought it was unnecessary as well. Why am I seeing silhouettes of people fucking? I know that it was supposed to trigger this guy into wanting to do another rape again. But I don't know. It just felt so shockingly out of place. I'm seeing silhouettes making sweet, sweet love and I'm hearing moaning. And this one's a nitpick, but Habiba's outfit was very distracting. No. It was obvious that she wasn't wearing anything under her.
Well, much.
She wasn't wearing much, yes. She wasn't wearing much, and it was obvious, and it just felt
not color.
It just felt very modest. Yeah, I'm sorry. I just if I'm seeing all of that, I don't know. It felt like it clashed here. And, I don't know. I feel like someone who knows what that outfit is supposed to represent and how it should be wouldn't costume it in that way. But yeah.
Okay. All right. A lot of my bads have similar to Ekwen, but is this going to act like a almost double as a pushback? But I didn't like this script. This script I thought was very bad. In both the subplots and sometimes in the details. Mrs. C has touched on a couple, Ekwe has touched on a couple. People keep on talking about the subplots. Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people have mentioned a lot of the subplots not working. And it's the movie is just, for me, it's just a bunch of subplots, especially in the middle, stitched together. Because if you think about this film, right, what is this film at the end of the day is, people get kidnapped really at the end of the film, and then they get rescued. That's this movie. There's not a lot going on. So, which is fine, but what you fill it in are the subplots. That's what makes the meat of this movie. So I don't like this movie, so I'm probably a terrorist, but, all of the subplots are either for me pointless or really, really badly written. Just really, really badly written. Mrs. C spoke about, I can't remember who spoke about the escape. Yeah, the escape plan to, somebody is my, what is my, look, I'm not asking you to write Prison Break season 1 here, but it's gotta be more than, you distract her and we'll run. That's concepts of a plan. That's not a plan. Anybody can do that. If I decided I wanted to write an escape this thing today, that's the minimum. I mean, that's the draft that I would write. And then I was like, later on, I'll come up with something, yeah, better. And then, what's the other, people have talked about the Osu thing. I didn't hate it. It just felt out of nowhere. And the problem with a lot of all these subplots is that they're their own little movie, and it doesn't help with tension because I'm not sure what this movie is supposed to be really. You have people sort of kidnapped. Maybe we're supposed to be worried about their lives, whether are they going to do something that's going to lead to their deaths, something like that. And it just had a huge problem with focus. So we have the Ekwe's spoken about the stealing of money thing. The stealing of money thing is so silly. Like, number one, if you're calling this guy a thief, right? Like, he's a thief. He's like he's pointed out, like, he hasn't even done it for his wife's cancer, this thing, right? He already did it before. It's like, now you make me less invested in him, right? I don't care as much as I should. I'm like, is this all to some purpose, some point, other than everybody kind of bad, right? Like Mrs. C said, all the different groups bad. There's no, I'm remembering all the little sort of, what's his name? They said professional kidnappee, even though I think he was a kidnapper in the trade. That's actually what I remember him from. What's his name? Is it
Emeka?
Emeka.
That's kidnapped in far from him.
Emeka and is her name Blessing? I can't remember Stan's
Blessing.
wife. Yes. Blessing. So Emeka and Blessing, when they're speaking and they're coming up with their plan, and I think people seem to like that, and we talk about, he doesn't understand his language and how that comes to play a part, and how one would think, yes, let's use language as a tool, but it doesn't work if the plan is nonsense. If the plan is as basic as it was, like you're going to do a plan of somebody distract somebody and then the other person run. I could do that with whoever I want. And then the other thing is that when they realize that, when they get caught, is by this, our female lead, terrorist, Habiba. And it's like, they didn't know Habiba could speak English. I'm like, she spoke English right in front of him previously. This script, I actually,
the script didn't realize Habiba could speak.
Yeah. I'm sorry, like, anybody I don't know what's good about the script except for ambition, right? Because it's not every time that we try to do a movie where we fill it with subplots. Ideally, this should work. Now, but again, all the subplots for me they just take away from. There's a point where this movie forgets about Genevieve for like 30 or 40 minutes. It's like, and then I don't care. In that 30 or 40 minutes, I stop caring about Genevieve, right? And there's just not even a lot for her to do, to be honest, in this film, the way it's been shown. This thing about almost every idea almost every idea that comes in here is undercooked. The thing about, the detective doing the name guessing thing, it doesn't really go anywhere. They just start it, and I guess at some point, I don't know, somebody shoots a gun or something and whatever. Blessing, I remember Blessing at one time, she just runs away and they're like,
oh no, don't shoot.
Okay. I guess if like, even if you don't understand, even if you don't understand how to, like, if you see that somebody is running away, and wouldn't you take your chance? I mean, like, I'm sorry. I don't understand I found the movie majorly boring because of this, because a lot of tension. I couldn't feel anything for any of the characters that they've put on here for me. It was just had nothing to offer for me in terms of tension, or none of the characters were particularly great. This film was supposed to be basically like almost like and I mean this in the best possible way, but a dumb action movie where people get kidnapped. And that's where people go, yeah, I like that it doesn't like preach too much, which is good. It doesn't have a lot to say, but you can't give it credit for also taking it. I don't think you can give it credit for being subtle on the message, because I think this film is just a dumb action. It's just a dumb action. And I think it is fine, but let's look at it at that. That's what it's trying to be. It just wants to be a kidnapping movie about, an action kidnapping movie about a thing that happened. And it's trying to, the other thing is that it's trying to tiptoe around the perceived backlash. And you can hear it, and it comes off in the script. It comes off in some of the directing as well. But yeah, anyway, that's where I'm going to stop at this point. I don't know if people are raising their hands for more bad or pushback, but I honestly, I welcome in the pushback any subplot that anybody feels added anything or did anything. It's just, because maybe I've forgotten something, because there was quite a few, but I just remember absolutely nothing. Oh, I also, before we go there, I want to remember, didn't there GFO as acting at the beginning? I don't know, there was a part of her that felt angry. It felt like somebody who had been angered just before she came on set, because it felt like somebody who was trying to be professional. It felt like she wasn't quite there. It got better as the movie went on, but that first scene, I don't know what was going on, but she was speaking to her husband in a stranger's accent, the accent you would use with a stranger. And again, it doesn't help me feel for the characters you're supposed to feel for. Anyway, that's my part. Yeah, see, loads of hands are up. And I think Elizabeth was one of the first people whose hands up. So I'll let Elizabeth go first.
All right. Thank you very much. I have 3 pushbacks. So first pushback, this is for you, Ekwe. And it was when you mentioned if they could, show people, if it could cut off people why they're not showing rape on screen. So first, I think there is a misunderstanding of what constitutes gratuitous violence versus purposeful brutality. I mean, the hacking and killing is still horrific, like it still feels gratuitous, but works within the narrative because it definitely and directly foreshadows the reveal of the organ harvesting ring. So it is brutal, but it serves a narrative function right there. Of course, they want the audience to be really scared, right? That's supposed to be their, this movie is I don't know, is brutal. But it does serve a purpose. So conversely, depicting a rape on screen would have done nothing to advance the specific plot point. There is no reason for it. It's enough to have the guy going through aggro, so we can use it to say that's why he was irrational. Maybe, so much blue balls going on, he cannot think again. But the argument that because one act is brutal, the other should be included for the sake of realism is a flawed premise, especially in filmmaking. We don't need to add more gratuitous acts just because the film already contains violence. The key is narrative purpose, and the violence already depicts that. Sorry, I'm drinking. So that's for you, Ekwe. So for Mrs. C, the rationality of the bandit, the argument that killing Kule Remi's character was irrational misses the point entirely. This film consistently establishes that these bandits are irrational and unpredictable. That already has been established. In fact, it didn't establish before. It kept the entire thing was them establishing that nonsense. It doesn't matter. It's not them thinking that, oh, look, I'm going to make money. The only person thinking that was the main guy. He was the only one saying, look, we will make money, we'll make money. The others don't bloody care. Like, their actions are not supposed to follow a neat logical progression. That's what makes them terrifying. Like, personally, I feel like to critique their rationality is to critique the very nature of the threat that the film so effectively built. So there is no inconsistency there. The inconsistency is the exact point. So to the last person, Mr. C, on the shitty escape plan. For me, okay, this is going to be the final criticism. So that criticism that the escape was a shitty plan or unrealistic is a non-starter. This is not a heist movie. This is not Prison Break. The characters are not mastermind executive. This is not Michael Scofield level breakouts. God damn it. They are desperate people who will seize a chaotic opportunity to escape. Like, did all of them make it out? Nope. Were they shot? Yes. Of course, like, the focus is not the realism of a perfect escape. It's about what happens on screen. A frantic, messy, believable bid for freedom. Simple. The escape sloppiness is perfectly in tandem with the characters that this world has established. Like, we see it all the time in the newspaper. 5 girls have escaped. 10 people have escaped. Do you think there was Michael Scofield in there? If they say 50 kids escaped, do you think Michael Scofield is in primary 3 try to plot out an escape plan? Personally, these are survivors, not criminal geniuses. What we have seen is desperate, imperfect escape, very foolish, and that's what got one of them killed. Simple. Thank you very much. No, one last one. So
You
this
said
is
I'm losing
also,
my
no, one last one. And they will say that this film is saying nothing. It is not true. Because, yeah, it might not say it well. It might not say it perfectly. It has a lot of character arc that left undeveloped. But it's saying a lot. This is social commentary. I think that should be enough. That's it.
All right. I actually find it funny that the one thing I said I'm not expecting is the one thing you went to. I thought I'm not expecting Prison Break season 1 level of escape, but I guess I'm saying there's got to be some in between season 1 of Prison Break level of escape versus peace. Go and peace, and I'll pretend and distract the person. I'll now run away. That's not a plan. That's again. I said that in the way that if any of us, if you task anybody here to write an escape plan in 5 minutes, that's about what we would come up with.
No, it's
And
about your character. It's about characterization. What would you expect from a character that will not speak to somebody else because they do
that
not
had
understand
escaped 3 times?
Yeah, this is his third
The one that had escaped previously, I would expect something closer to Michael Scofield, to be honest. But
Or
okay.
if you had escaped previously with the same plan of going to pee, perhaps you
All
would
right.
think it's a valid
I love
plan.
it. I love it. DIY Nollywood is here.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. You cannot actively be
You can't
causing.
it's fine.
You can't be actively causing the distraction and using it to escape. It don't work. And honestly, I don't expect a sensible escape plan. I think it really would have worked if they had tried the dumb escape plan and it backfired and they caught them and it was, a whole thing. It could have been a thing, right? To show, hey, people did try, it just didn't work out, right? It was just such a plan that was never going to work. There was really no point to shooting someone over it, but whatever.
I think it's such a non-plan. It's not even worth writing in the script. You might as well just written them just trying to run away.
I think
It's just
the real
nothing.
issue here is we all assume that the plan was for everybody to get away. Obviously, somebody is going to create a distraction, and maybe Emeka's plan was that he would be the only one to get away.
You know what? I'm willing to buy that because this is the third kidnap. Right? Maybe he has bad karma for him to end up here for the third time. And you know what? Maybe this is how he got away the other 2 times. He just be sacrificing. He pick one person that look like Mugu, sacrifice them, and make it escape.
Show me that movie. I want to watch it.
I respect that. I respect that theory.
At no point while I was watching did I even assume that the kidnappers would let anybody out of that cage to go and pee. They would just ask them to shit on themselves.
Can I just say also, like,
have you been kidnapped before?
Somebody asked it. Sorry, wait, hang on. Somebody asking to go piss is like the most common. Like, one of the reasons why I said it. I pushed back against it is that it's so common. Like, you imagine if a kidnapper is going to allow you even piss. Which they usually don't actually. If they're being very nice, they'll have a bucket for you there. But, if you want to write this in, the kidnapper will actually follow you and you don't think they've thought about, if somebody wants to pee, like, will be on guard. It's not worth saying. It's such a silly, nothing of a, you have to do something other. And like, they were hiding all of the details was hidden in, cause a distraction. Cause a distraction how? That's what I mean by this is concepts of a plan. It's not even, it's not
Honestly,
a plan.
speaking in tongues plan seems better. I'm just gonna talk to Elizabeth Pushback on my thing with how I felt Colin Remain's death was unnecessary, blah, blah, blah. That's not me, because again, I said, look, I'm not trying to rationalize bandits, kidnappers, terrorists, all of that jazz. It is what it is. But I'm going to push back on you saying, these guys were irrational and inexperienced. No, they were inexperienced. Especially the lead. The lead wasn't irrational. We had one person that was hot-headed. There was one hothead in the mist, but the lead was rational. And we get some insight into him and what he's looking for and what his plans are. And the point was to break out from Sheik, go to somewhere new, start their own thing, right? Start their own operation and have that freedom from that thing with Sheik. The money was important. The business was important. The business and the money part seemed to be what was important to him and what was the motivation. This wasn't just,
but he didn't know any of this before. But did he know any of this?
No.
Did he know any of this before they started shooting? Before they started stopping? Did they know that these cars contained copper? Did they know that these cars contained couples? They didn't know now.
This is the thing is, right? This is the thing is, I'm not. If this was a film where we're just watching these people try to survive, and we don't get any sort of backstory, any sort of humanization of these bandits and kidnappers and characters, I'm completely with, it's just irrational stuff that's going on. But they have tried to show us this guy's motivation. They have tried to show us this guy as a person with feelings, with some sort of moral code, with some sort of, distaste for some parts of his job and what have you, right? But again, for me, right, I'm not saying they had to make it rational. And again, it's not a thing on kidnappers or bandits or whatever, right? I'm just saying in terms of the writing from watching it, right? Daniel's character seemed more likely to get shot than someone who just came out of the car. It's just what it felt like to me. And it's just what threw me, especially when we're working through, all the backstory, all the background and all the ransoms and all of that. But it all tied to my point of, I got the sense that the kidnappers weren't as interested in collecting their money as they should have been.
Yeah. Well, can I say, like, I would tie that in with, I'm actually with you that it felt, I would buy Elizabeth's pushback. In fact, I would say because, like, the whole point was that he doesn't usually lead. Mm-hmm. And I'm actually fine with Elizabeth's pushback. The only place where I start leaning more with Mrs. Sina is that, they're trying to make out like, oh no, there are rules or there's something guiding this. But they chased Daniel after shooting him into the I was like, I wasn't understanding. They were trying to shoot at him. They were trying to kill him. And then they chased him and then they captured him. I'm just like, it didn't feel like there was a method to the madness. It's just like, all right, if you want him dead, just kill him then. Why are we shooting at him and then you want to also then now capture him when you find him? It's just, honestly, this script is terrible. I'm sorry, guys. This script is bad. This script is just bad. Sorry. I think Unduka's hand was up and then Uti and then.
Finally, it's me. It's me. Can I go ahead?
No, sorry. Eka, I'm just going by this thing here. I thought I saw Unduka's hand up first.
Yeah, it was me. My hand was up first. My hand was up after Elizabeth's hand.
Sorry, Ekwe, I can only go by.
Unduka is the one speaking, no. Ella is not showing you.
This thing is not showing me nothing.
Don't worry, he can talk. You can go ahead. I've removed my hand.
Sorry.
Okay, I can go ahead now, yeah? Yeah, my pushback is actually for Ekwe, actually, where he says that he doesn't like how the movie starts off, how the action or the kidnapping starts off immediately before we start to know who these people are. And my pushback to that is think of it like a disaster movie, right? It's the disaster that is the thing. The disaster is like every other thing just flows from the disaster, and I think they did it well. Think of it like a what's that movie where they were in New York and they got, I think the what's it called? The tunnel collapsed underneath them. We didn't know those characters until the tunnel collapsed on that collapsed on them and they were trapped. And it's because they were trapped that we started to get to know them and now find out more about them. The action is the thing. It's a disaster movie. It's a Nigerian disaster. Yeah, a disaster movie. Think of it that way. My second pushback is I don't think it's a pushback. It's kind of in agreement with something Mr. C said. I do think that the Wazobia thing was too on the nose. It felt like, okay, because we are feeling guilty for calling out a particular crime that happens, that maybe we have all stereotyped as Nigeria belongs to one tribe. We must now implicate all the other tribes too, so that everybody feels placated and everybody can be like, oh, can't you see they also dragged my tribe too? Oh, can't you see they also that's it
Plus
felt a bit
NYSC.
on that on the yes, and like it felt a bit on the nose, like and didn't feel that brave to me, right? It didn't feel that brave to me, but I think those are the only two other things I had, and I still cannot get over the fact that they left those people in the bush. That's all.
All right. Thanks. Thanks,
Sorry,
Ndukcha.
just interjecting. I think
No.
leaving those people in the bush makes sense. This is Nigeria, only the rich matter. Carry on.
All right. Ataz, go on.
Sure. So my pushback is actually on Unuka's last statement. Actually, I do have a couple more bad that I wanted to add. So where did I put that? Oh yeah. So the hostages, I thought acted like they had been kidnapped for much longer than they had been. I think that they had a funny moment of being freshly kidnapped and like looking for food. That guy was reaching out for the corn. It's like they just kidnapped you. They have gone to your head. They just made you guys hack up someone literally moments back. How are you so hungry and like so trusting of the food they're going to give you? Especially when you literally just got there. Anyways, um, and I also didn't understand why they sold the bodies for half as much as they could have. It seemed like they could have gotten more money if they had just let those guys take the head. And even if they didn't want and have anything to do with the rest of the bodies, could have just buried it or burned it or something. It didn't make sense to me why they suddenly just negotiated that they would only take half payment if they take all the bodies. So those are two things I just remember them were a little odd to me. So the movie, and this is towards Nduka, the movie did the guy at the end, the Yakubu is my gate man's been in Benin. But anyways, the guy at the end, Yakubu did tell the hostages that if they stoned the two guys, they would be free. So I assume the movie is trying to imply that they all went free. I will agree that it wasn't properly handled.
But the police doesn't know that.
We also saw
The police
Blessing's
said that
character
the
run.
police left them
Yeah,
there.
we saw
The
Blessing's
police left
character.
them there.
Hey, who's causing this echo?
The police doesn't know that they were freed now.
So the
The police
police
just
doesn't know
delivered the
that.
two rich.
I
Yes, the
think it's
police
in the
just
cast.
delivered the two rich people and then started shaking hands with the hey, yeah, yeah. I'm like, wow.
And the guy, I
Ugh,
think you're
the
echoing.
rich.
Yes. Can everybody's not speaking on mute? Sorry,
So,
that was.
where was I? But yeah, the police doesn't know that. I think throughout this movie, the police is really bad at their job. In fact, they make things worse for Linda Ejiofor's character. And I didn't understand why they didn't just stick to their original plan of the people that they were aware of. Like, even if they had used Linda's character as recon to figure out who some of the guys and players involved were, it didn't make sense for them to get involved. Anyways, I'm not here to criticize the Nigerian police because they're bad at their jobs. And so that's fair. But yeah, so they did escape. I don't think the movie forgets about them entirely. They just don't depict it properly. And they do show Blessing in the end running through the forest. It's like the last 1 minute of the movie where she's just running to where I don't know. but she was running in the forest at the end. So that was my pushback to Underka, and then to Mrs. C. I think some of the characters being dressed to the nines were not entirely out of character because they had just come to Ekiti for a wedding, I assume from Lagos and other parts of Nigeria. So it made some sense for the most part that they only had sort of event clothing. And then for Mr. C, I do think there were a couple subplots that worked, and them deviating from the formula they use for the subplot, I think, is what kills the rest of the subplot. The policeman having a baby and not being able to pay didn't take that long, and did sort of humanize them a little bit. Lena's character, Cancer Reveal, did humanize them and sort of give them an extra layer, and I think that they should have done that for everyone else, or as many people as they could, instead of just focusing on Daniel and Linda's lives. Just little stories to humanize them. And the way Nika was talking about earlier with the bridge collapse, and all the people get under the bridge and how you start to find out a little bit about them just kind of through learning their story and that ordeal. But that's it. Oh, and also Habiba's being kidnapped should have been humanized better. Like her also being a victim was kind of just randomly thrown in there at the end. And I felt like we had enough time to just show something there a little bit more, to give her a little more grit. It seemed like in the third act they were just kind of throwing everything to stake and tie it up, which is, I guess, Nollywood's third act problem. But yeah.
Okay. All right. Doesn't seem like anybody else has. Oh yeah, Uchi, you did have your hand up. But it doesn't seem like anybody has pushback for me who cooks the whole subplots, which is like 80% of the movie. But okay. All right, Uchi, go on.
Okay, so I did want to mention it because I think I mentioned something about research earlier. The reason I brought that up is because I know like a lot of our movies are loosely based on reality, but I feel like especially Daniel making the decision to use this title, it then becomes more than loosely based. And I feel like with that, he wasn't, from my perspective, it feels like there wasn't a lot of research done in like how a lot of these things probably happen. And the reason I'm saying that is because I do have like a personal story related to that. And there's so many parts of the movies that I was kind of frustrated by. I was like, oh, if only like maybe you spoke to this person or did this and you incorporated this in this movie, I feel like it would have been so much stronger. And he didn't do that, which then weakened a lot of the movie for me. That's why I brought up research the first time.
Okay. Fair. Is there any other pushback things anybody had? Yeah, I was just thinking the whole, I was like, people are talking about more stuff for Linda and Geoffrey. I know I mentioned something about how the movie forgets about Genevieve's character for a bit because whenever there's a point where it starts moving between Linda's like little subplots and then the detective doing some detective quote unquote work with Daniel's character. But yeah, we don't see Genevieve at all for a hot minute, and the film forgets about her. And yeah, which made me look. Honestly, yeah. All right. Anyway, yeah. Anybody, obviously, you can like obviously what anybody's free to like exactly what they like. I just think the script just doesn't do this. It doesn't hold. It doesn't do well at all. Especially for we are talking about Linda Jeffers' character. I think somebody mentioned how at some point, yeah, it does feel like, oh, just, we're going to take off. It reminds me almost kind of like To Kill a Monkey, where you're just going to have a bunch of bad things going to happen to you. Except, we have cancer with this one, right? Cancer. But when they were doing all her bits of story, and then we hear that, she was on Osu, it's trying to give weight to this. I want to even expand on this, the divorce thing. It's trying to give weight to it like she's making a huge huge decisions. Like, how do you, as the parents, how do you even make sure it happens? Like, what you could have done is pay for her flight to get out of the country, make sure she gets on the plane, and we never see her anywhere, and we'll take it from here.
Mm-hmm.
Could have done that, right? But we probably won't, because like, if she's still in the country, whatever you signed, how do you do it? Even in Nigeria, like, you're not allowed to divorce like that. And so, like, what are you going to tell the judge what are you going to tell the judge when you go to the court of, I signed the contract with even if she wanted to do it, right? Even if she wanted to do it, the court is in Nigeria is going, I guess.
And then they will insult his parents.
Yeah. so and they try to give it so much gravitas. Like,
a deal is a deal.
Like, you guys, I haven't.
Nah, we didn't call this back.
I haven't bought into this before you start adding gravitas, adding all this. This is gonna be serious. And then,
she's a good woman.
I don't know.
Sorry, I'm just gonna hammer back on my wardrobe problems, because you mentioned in the joke and it just reminded me. I had serious wardrobe problems with this film. I've mentioned the families, and again, I think somebody has to live in Ekiti, because there's no reason for anybody to be going to Ekiti, especially to get married, unless somebody is from there or lives there. Why are we going to Ekiti? Sorry, no offense anywhere from Ekiti. Second thing, okay, but even at that, when you travel, right, you're not traveling in all your best. You have your casuals, right? I'll travel in sweatpants. Or mommies and daddies might not travel in sweatpants, but they'll travel in something casual. You will keep homewares for your stay throughout your duration in Ekiti. You're not only traveling with fancy shit. Aside from that, I had the wardrobe problems with Habiba. Again, she seemed like she was dressed by somebody who didn't understand, the outfit and everything to do with it, which is why then Linda's character, again, showed up to this kidnapping ransom drop-off in a dress she had to hold, right? She wasn't caught up in Ekiti. She traveled to Ekiti and they put her in a dress, pretty dress, but that she had to hold up while carrying 2 big duffel bags full of money. Costuming was a problem.
Okay. All right. If that is all, we can do a summary. And well, we can start with Elizabeth. Do you want to give us your summary for The Herd?
Okay, so personally for me, this was quite a jarring movie. So I don't know. They need to have everybody should know that they were hacking people here. So in case it is not your cup of tea, don't watch it. I liked the script. I thought it was strong. I liked most of the acting. I thought it was strong. It is bold. It is unflinching. And I thought it was thematically complex film that stands out, at least, given the current Nollywood landscape. So while he held back a lot on a lot of the underdeveloped character arcs and very questionable direction or directorial choices, I still personally believe that this is still an important piece of cinema. Good job, Daniel, in your first directorial debut. I want to see more. Really good actors directing. Would like to see more. So watch this. So if you're, I'm recommending it. Just so that they were hacking people. I just need to tell you that part. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Elizabeth. And Alan, do you want to tell us give us your summary?
Yeah, this was a nice watch. It was one of the better things we've seen this year from Nollywood. It was kind of somewhat refreshing in the sense that it came from like a new direction, and as well as it could have been done, it was done well enough, I suppose. I like that it touched on social issues in the current day Nigeria, and it was a solid debut for director Daniel. I will not be calling him Kiss Daniel for a bit now. So it was a solid debut for him, and yeah, I'm looking forward to more stuff from him. And if possible, more stories somewhat like this, but with a little less plot holes, I suppose.
All right. Thanks, Alan. Ndika, do you want to give us your summary, please?
Yeah, so I really enjoyed this movie. I think it's a very interesting movie. I love the drama. I loved the performances. I think I love some of the subplots. I think Linda Ejiofor suffers too much. Some, in fact, more than the people that they kidnapped, self. Because, for example, we didn't see Genevieve, so we don't know what she was doing all that time. She could have been chilling at home, but like, we don't know. So, aside from that, it's and all the small nitpick that I did earlier on, I think it's a very solid film. I think you should watch it. It's really solid and it's good one from Daniel Etim Effiong.
All right. Thanks, Ndika. Uti?
Summary for this, as everyone said, I think it was a really good directorial debut. I would say debut. Sorry. Another problem, so not problem, but like I think the major issue that we can see was just that it was very ambitious, and because it was very ambitious and there was like a lack of full commitment, that's why we have a lot of the issues we're having with it. But aside from that, I think Dano did a good job with this. So, yeah.
All right. Thanks, Uti. Ekwe, do you want to give us your summary?
Yes, please. I really like the previous person just said. I really dig the ambition for a first movie script. So it seemed like there would have been a lot of logistics because I remember I was watching and I was looking at the night scenes and I was like, I wonder how long this cage took to build and how did they light up this place because it just looked so clean. And I'm like, oh, so this guy really tried. And then I checked the thing because I know that they said he produced it and then I saw that he also directed it. I was like, oh, okay, this is really nice for someone's first attempt at a feature film. So for ambition, gets a 10/10 from me. I just hope that next time he will just calm down a little bit and maybe Google before he before. Sorry, I googled. I checked the writer. I forget now. Aisadu or something like that. And so maybe I hope that next time before Daniel makes a movie, he would actually read the script well and maybe question things that even at first glance, like for instance, that divorce thing doesn't make sense. Like you should be able to have a questioning, like, I don't know, spirit or like spirit of discernment or so. It would have saved us from a lot of it would have saved this movie from a lot of the criticism. I am very glad that it came out at a time where it could be controversial and make him a lot of money. And this means that it's going to inspire him to do more because, I mean, he's going to hopefully make a lot of money and then have the courage to do more. Right now, the movie is being overshadowed by the fact that, to me, it doesn't make sense. More about the social commentary that he's bringing, which I think, I don't care. It's fine. It's fine for me. So good on the ambition and hopefully next time he sort of, reads a book before he writes a movie.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Ikwe. Atas, do you want to give us your summary for the head?
Sure. So I did really like this. I love the acting. I like the story being told. I like that the story was relevant in conversation in the time period it came out in. I don't think that Daniel could have planned better publicity for this movie than it's currently getting. I do hope that in his next movie, he divorces himself from the idea of making his character the central point. I think it's kind of what affects the way the story goes as far as subplotting because he spends so much time trying to give his character more flesh than is actually needed. Um, and also, I think it suffers from not using the person with the most trauma, their backstory. I think Darren's character had her husband killed on the day they were married and then had to watch him be hacked up. I think she's who should have gotten a lot more flesh to her character. But all in all, a very good fast movie. Very good movie in general as far as Nollywood goes. Strong directional entry establishes adequate chemistry between the characters, especially Darren and her husband, as well as the kidnappers themselves. I do hope to see the lead kidnappers, both male and female, in something else. I'm more so curious about their range, yeah. But all in all, liked it. Would watch it again. Would like to see it in theater. So hopefully I get a chance to do that soon. Um, its strongest feature is its ambition, and its weakest feature, I think, this movie is its cowardice. It does spend too much time trying to. All sides are bad. This when it really should have just taken the chunk of meat it was going for. I think.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Atas. Mrs. C.
Yeah, for me, this was one of the least offensive things we saw this year. I'm with Otas in that, yes, a big weakness was the cowardice, and that's what sent us on the path of all those 1 million subplots, that ended up taking away from it. I think Daniel should have stood firm on the story he was telling. Because at the end of the day, it still didn't help, the narratives going about, and it would have just been a better, tighter story. All in all, ambitious, not a bad first outing for him. And yeah, let's see.
All right. Okay. I guess, every once in a while, someone's gotta be the one person who's just like, yeah, not for me. I really didn't like this. Not because it did too many things poorly. Like I mentioned, there were, if go back to my good if you forgot some of the things that I think it did well, but I've been on NFC too many times where somebody has tried to be ambitious and it's just Nollywood. It's not that it's exceptional. It's what is to be expected, to be honest. So I'm tired of giving credit for, oh yeah, it was ambitious and, but I don't care for that, to be honest. What I am interested though is in seeing Daniel. If Daniel did something smaller, with a better script, I'm interested in seeing that, because most of the issues I have with this is in the script itself. And I just think the script is just not good. And this thing where, I don't know, we're also giving this some bonus points for social commentary. I don't know what social commentary you're giving this, but like, let's not do kidnapping. Is that a social commentary?
I think
It is not didactic. Social
well,
commentary is not meant to teach or tell you what to do. Sometimes social commentary is just showing reality, doing what is on ground. It's just showing you what is suggesting and what people deal with.
One of the things we've complained about is that it tries to do all sides are bad. So what do I do with that now? Is that
because it's commentary, there are probably people who are not aware or familiar with the Osu cast, or probably, again, I get the all of us are bad in the crash thing, even though this is not all of us are bad. This is just, so you're saying somebody that kidnaps, especially around the fact that they kidnap down south here, he had to move from Sheik's operation. He kills people. And then there are some that when they kill them, if you notice, they carried all the dead body from the road, they hack them and sell them off to people. Again, we've had that in newspapers. So I think, personally, I feel like the writer probably picked...
What is the social commentary is commenting on what's going on in the society.
No. Social commentary is showing you what is happening in society. Social commentary is just you showing you. Sometimes they are not telling you. They don't need to tell.
The commentary part is literally telling. You're literally commentating on the society. That's what. So when somebody watches this, except if I'm being nitpicky and like somebody just means is like it's just a good reflection on our society, and that's what people mean. fine if you want to say that. Although I just disagree with that.
I
We
think
can
it's
just go
because you're
and disagree
using
with
the
that.
word "I want to," because sometimes
Huh?
commentaries are allowed to be reflective rather than speaking, and they are half of the time they are not critiquing. Sometimes they are providing insight into societal issues. These are
So
different
what's
ways
the
of
insight this
speaking.
movie is providing?
So you don't okay before you know that pastors used to hack people and buy from kidnappers. You were aware
So
before.
that everybody is a little bad then. You can't. This is what I mean. Is like we can't
I
have it
think
both
you're
ways.
just digging your heels at this point, and
It's
it's
either it's
fine.
either
I think you're
it's
digging
either
your
a
heels, and it's
dumb it's
fine.
either a dumb like action, which is what I took it as, or it's saying that it's the social commentary it's providing is that there's we do have
How many have you
everybody
look
has
at it? Look,
covered.
let's look at numbers here, because when you look at numbers, this film touched at the end of the day it told us how many people had been kidnapped, how many Nigerian movies and films and songs and books have this been written? Have you seen this insight in entertainment?
The
Can you
insight that what?
mention?
In the insight that what? What's the insight? That's what I've been asking since. What's the insight?
At this
That
point,
people kidnap.
I think you're just being you're doing this on
It's
purpose.
the only question of us. It's the only question of us. What's the
I
No,
insight?
think
no,
what
I
Mr. C
feel like I'm being pulled apart. I'm saying that we are living in might as well be a war zone, might as well be Sudan. We've been dealing for the past, God knows how many years, 20 years now. We've been seeing kidnappings. I mean, first we started with soldiers, but let's just talk about the kidnappings, because even within this week, people have mentioned the fact that even look at how serendipitous, I don't want to use the word, but that's what it felt like. In the week that we've seen people enter church, kidnap people, enter school, kidnap people, a film comes and talks about it. In arts, it's still social commentary. As long as you're providing insight, it is called that.
I'm so glad.
You don't have
I
to
listened
critique.
to ask the
So when you
question,
ask
what's
that,
the
what is it
insight?
saying? I
And you
don't know which
literally just
answer
said,
you are looking
it's,
for, really. What do you think it is saying? Let me throw it back to you.
it's
And if you
saying,
say there's nothing, that's also fine.
no, you're saying that there's kidnappings going on and it's talking about it. Fine. But like, I don't think
It's
that's
fine.
what,
It's fine.
to
If
me,
you don't
like,
see it, it's fine,
that's
really.
not that's not social commentary for me. Okay. Maybe that works as
For
social
you.
commentary for,
For you,
sure,
because if we Google
sure,
quickly say social
sure.
commentary, it will
Because
tell
like,
you
if
an
not,
act of
there's
using
no,
artistic expression
literally,
like writing film or art to critique and provide insight into
there's
society
literally
issues,
no point
norms,
of the
and
movie.
behaviors. I feel like
We
I
could
have
have
to
just
read it
had
for you.
we could have just had the text scroll at the end of the film. Don't bother with the movie then. Like if that's what we want to do. I'm just sorry. I just don't see any. I don't see the. I don't see the social commentary in this. There is nothing for me. It's like if you're saying that the social commentary, which by the way, that's what I started with to confirm, is that, like kidnappings do happen in Nigeria. Then say that. And then I can go, well, I disagree that that's social commentary. If that's what you want to take as your social commentary, okay, fine. That's fine. Take that as your
There's
social
nothing like
commentary.
that. Just Google it. There is a meaning. Whether you like it or not, whether you agree or not, it really does not matter. It doesn't change the meaning.
I think that the only commentary it effectively delivers is the kidnapping one, which Mr. C is saying is not really, I guess, critical commentary. Is that what you're saying, Mr. C?
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, yeah. So for me, usually social commentary is you're saying you're providing some insight on the society, right?
Right.
Sometimes it's not the most. I'm not saying it's the most like it had 8 layers deep commentary, right? Like, but we're not even at 0.5. It's a thing has happened. A thing happens is that yes, there are kidnappings that happen. All right. Okay. So we're talking about the event. What's the commentary on the event? There isn't
Yeah.
anything. It's just
I
saying
think
there's an
there
event.
is some. I just think it's not good commentary. Like the whole Osu thing is supposed to be some kind of social commentary. It's
So
just
the Osu thing I
not
would
great.
accept. Yeah, I would accept Osu thing is like, oh, by the way, this thing still, like, this thing goes on. It doesn't, I would say it doesn't do it very well. And I think most people have agreed with that, but
Yeah.
it doesn't particularly do it very
But it
well.
does
But like,
attempt social commentary.
but
Like even the
if,
Igbo speaking
if
and
you
Daniel
wanted to
not being
hang
able to
this,
speak Igbo
except if
is
there's something
some
else, if you wanted to hang this film as a social commentary film and your social commentary is the Osu thing, what are we doing? What are we doing? Because it's almost like the one thing everybody on here just agrees wasn't done well and was underdeveloped. So it's just weird for me to see this as that's the social commentary in this social commentary film, because again, it's not, I really wish, like, again, I mentioned this in kind of my bad, and it was the thing I was thinking about in my good that I said Mrs. C wiped from my head, is that I don't think it takes it, because of it's not preachy, right? I think you can't just see this as just like a simple action film, right? That is done in, I don't know, like we don't call Die Hard social commentary, right? Like, Die Hard, we
Is
don't
it
call Die Hard social
cultural?
commentary,
Is it cultural? Because I really
but
think that you're drawing bad parallels here. It's not cultural because look at what happened. The moment the trailer was dropped on the timeline, this trailer has had over 11,000. It's not because this film is the best movie in the world, because let's face fact, this film is already geo-locked, so nobody outside of Nigeria without a VPN is watching it. So let's even start with that. This is not our best outing, we've already established that. But one thing the trailer did was generate so much dialogue and discourse, and that in itself is social commentary. It seems as though you feel like there has to be some soapbox for you to mount this film in a way. Like, we can all agree that, it was in a bid not to say too much. Maybe you feel like it has not said enough, but you can't discount the fact that we as a country already have a problem with, let's not use the word kidnapping, because this is not some random ass 2006 that kidnapping people on the highway. We're talking bandits here. We're talking people stealing, because again, it's sort of like subtly touched, stealing, because we found the herder whose actual cows were stolen as a decoy for them to do this. And the first thing the film did was to establish that, again, we're in a very tense, politically tense, ethnically whatever tense environment. And the first thing they try to do is to say, no, these are not herders, these are professional bandits. This is what they do. This is their stock. We hear some nuances from Yakubu, from the Sheikh himself. Again, it might not be well done in a way where you say, okay, this is it. But I disagree that any book or art or piece of art that reflects some societal reality, because let's face fact, do you know how many number of people have been kidnapped this year from people who pretend to be herders or whatever they are? And we say this one film that critiques it says nothing, because it's kidnapping. We've seen kidnapping before. I don't know how it sounds, because the fact that it generated 11,000 people angry, people want to take it down, burn it down, whatever discourse, however negative, it's still social commentary, and it has done what it does. Social commentary provokes dialogue. So I don't know what else. It might not be well done to you, but I refuse to agree that because it's not what's it saying? Please. Anyways, that's it.
I do want to say one thing about, I know that the trailers generated a lot of buzz, but it's also not the first time this trailer's dropping. It dropped before it went to cinema, and it didn't generate as much buzz as it did just now. And this film's grace, it's benefiting from two high-profile back-to-back kidnappings that happened just before it dropped. Make of that what you will, but
Not just the
honestly, they
kidnapping, but
couldn't
Trump's
have planned
focus
this
as
better
well.
if they tried.
Yeah, Trump's focus on Nigeria as well, with the prosecution of Nigeria. It really just landed sort of in the right moment. There's not much more that could have been done for this movie. And so it's receiving both a lot of grace and a lot of focus negatively as well.
Yep.
yeah. Okay. All right. Alana, do you want to say something before?
Yeah, quickly, I just want to support some of what Mo has said as regards this movie being social commentary, because yes, it does mention the whole kidnapping thing, but part of the commentary is showing that it takes a community to hold up a kidnap ring. It's not just one side. It's not just a group of people. It's like a whole community keeping it going. So even if that's all it highlights, I think that's still part of social commentary. So agreed, it didn't do it in the best way, but like she mentioned, what social commentary, the purpose is to create discourse, is to provoke emotions and to get people talking. And this movie kind of inspired that. And if some of the people who decided to pick offense before they actually pressed play on this, but that to watch it, they would see that this movie is not necessarily pointing fingers at anybody, but rather calling people to order or something of that sort of, or highlighting the fact that this is a community problem, this is a general problem, and this is a problem that can only be resolved if people, like, if everyone comes together as a nation. It's not this person, it's not that person. We are all at fault in some way. So it does create social commentary, even if it's not the way we would prefer it. We don't have to like something, and we don't have to like how it's executed for us to admit that this is what it's trying to do. And I think it did it okay.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, like, I've asked many a times, and, for me, I think this would have been easy to, sort of say concisely what somebody would have gotten from the social commentary. But, it is what it is. I feel the film goes out of its way not to be social commentary, and that's why we have the issues we have. It goes out of its way to say, I'm not talking about this, I'm not talking about that, I'm not talking about herdsmen. It's going out of its way. It's saying, not really. Like, I'm not talking about Islam. I'm not saying anything about any particular one religion. It's everybody. It's just like everybody is bad in this.
Everybody's in different genres.
That's what I'm saying. Is like that. Yeah, that's my commentary. That's my commentary. And commentary. If somebody puts out anything and it starts any sort of social commentary or argument, it doesn't mean that thing was social commentary to begin with. That's I don't know whether that needs to be explained, but if somebody takes a shit in the middle of the street and everybody starts discussing it, that's not taking a shit in the middle of the street isn't social commentary. Yeah. Anyway, but. All right. That's generally my summary. Indika, you have your hands up. Say what you want, and we can go.
Yeah, I was going to agree with you. Actually, I didn't think I would agree with you, but I think you've convinced me, because I think it's just a disaster movie that happens to come out in a relevant time, and it's very lucky in that sense, because would you really say it's social commentary? We don't even know who kidnaps these people. Really, they are not bandits, they are not herdsmen, but they are also body snatchers. It doesn't even comment on insecurity, really, if you think about it. Because what does it say about insecurity in Nigeria, except that it's okay? First, well, I guess that exists. So you get I don't know what you mean. Like, the situations that happen, for example, the herdsmen, there's deeper things. There are things that are pushing them. I feel like if you really think about it, the bandits that kidnap these guys are just bandits that are wearing, that are just dressed to look like. They are not really who we think they are. They are coded. Sorry. Yeah, that's the word I want to use. They are just coded. And I don't know if that's commentary.
Is that not enough for you not to see any? If you see a herder tomorrow now, are you just going to, after watching this, you're going to see, oh my God, he's about to kidnap me? Would you say that?
Because I saw this film?
Yeah, it's just an assumption, because we already live in a very tense time where everybody will say, okay, there are herdsmen, people rearing cows. They are also the same people snatching. I mean, these are topics. Let's talk about it. They are the ones snatching people. They are the ones kidnapping. And then this film says, no, there's an actual bandit ring. This is their bread and butter. They kidnap people for money and for Indian and for cigarettes. And they steal these people's cows. You don't think that gives you, even if it's a glimpse of an insight, or are you still going to go outside to see one kid with his cows tomorrow and say, oh my God, he's about to kidnap me?
I don't think this film would change anything in that perception. And honestly, this is us deviating from the film and going into the present realities of
No, we are talking
Nigeria.
about social
No, no,
commentary
no,
now.
no, but
Yeah,
let me land on this okay, if this film has disarmed me from being cautious about, if I see people herding cattle, don't feel one kind of way about it, then it's also doing a job of discounting the experiences of the people in the middle belt who are suffering from insecurity being driven by herdsmen. It's the problem with calling this film out as social commentary, because it's playing both sides, speaking out both sides of his mouth, and at the end of the day, not saying anything. It does seem like the best light to look at it is action film with a backdrop of some realities of Nigerian society.
Do you know the crazy thing? I don't even think this is an action film. Like, I keep on hearing everyone saying, "Oh, action film, action film." I mean, there are a few gunshots and some very odd blood spraying here and there, but I did not watch this movie at any point and think action. So but that's my own personal pushback. I don't think this is an action film. I bet maybe a drama, but I don't look at this as an action film.
yeah. I mean, like, I think I've used sort of action thriller, but yes, I do think it's that. I mean, like, it's certainly more action film than it is social commentary. Not to really indicate, the debate. But anyway, hey, if you feel like you got commentary on this and this has given you some insight on something, okay, that's it. Have at it. Enjoy it. I've only asked for people to tell me, come share that insight or come share the thing. And anyway, about, I want Tosin, you were in the comments mentioning, seems like you're not happy with the way the conversation is going or with some of the things I'm saying. Is there, Tosin Apo, is there something you wanted?
I think it's not exactly what you are saying. It's kind of in support what you are saying, because like I feel like they are talking about a lot of bad things that I feel like we already know is happening in Nigeria. So I think the sentiment on whether this film is good or bad for most people is coming from the conversation that is happening. But like if you read through something, you should exactly be able to say that what exactly is this film trying to say? What exactly is it trying to talk about? And I feel like it actually did not like come exactly to that conclusion. Really, it's just every one of us that are coming to that conclusion based on like this recent events that is happening. Because it touched on so many things that we already know as Nigerians. Like, we don't know that herdsmen is happening, but who are the people organizing this herdsmen? What are the ways they think? What are their motivation? They just say their motivation is money. I feel like beyond money, what else is the motivation?
Do you need a motivation beyond money?
Can I say
No.
Yeah, because
I'm
it
just
seems
trying to
as
say
though
that.
we want this film to confirm our bias, and that's another pit that I
Because
think we should all try not
I
to
think
fall
this is just a
inside.
commentary, like not even a commentary. Sorry, like it's just like an observatory film. It's just this is what is going on. I don't think they are
Yes,
trying to.
commentary does
Yeah,
not
they're
have
not
to
trying to tell
speak. It
you
can be
how to feel
reflective,
about it,
guys.
because how you feel about it
Saying
is
commentary doesn't have to speak is the funniest sentence I've
It's the
ever heard.
funniest thing. Yes,
Not
exactly.
funny, it can be reflective. It is in art.
it's yeah, it's just how you feel about
No,
this
please.
movie. I don't think this movie is trying to tell you how to
Um,
feel. It's just laying the things,
again,
laying facts out to you
yeah.
or something of that sort, and then you get to interpret how what's been laid out for you should be how you
Yeah,
interpret it. I don't think
I don't disagree with that. And one thing I want to use to tie this bow up is, I think if we start making maybe 3 or 4 films like this in a year, four or 5 films like this a year, I think 4 or 5 films like this a year, I think in like 3 or 4 years time, you're going to hear me saying the same thing I do with sexual assaults. I would start saying about these kind of films, because if you want to touch on such a sensitive topic, I think it's not just enough to just throw it willy-nilly about. Again, I'm not saying it now. Remember, I say if you do this like consistently, we'll enter where we are with the sexual assault discourse, because it's sort of the same. For me, in my head, it occupies the same space. It's, all right, you've put it in there. All right, it's, you've used it for this, not really saying anything about it. But if the aim is this level of vapidness, just this level of nothing going on, I think after a while it will become a problem. But that's how I feel about it.
Do you feel
Can I say
I
something?
compare this somewhat to like Domitila that we're speaking of, because we did say that Domitila was not telling you how to feel about
No, but characters were speaking.
that
So I think the thing with social commentary is we always expect films to say something. Two things. Social commentary can actually force characters to say something. Second way of doing social commentary, especially when it is dicey situation, is social commentary can be reflective. Just show. Don't say anything. The characters are not judging. The characters aren't explain. We just see their motivation and we see the results, and that's it. And it has gone. Your job as the audience is it's in receiving it is in the reflectiveness. So you will not do your own critical examination. What do you think this film is saying? So there are two things. We can either have like Domitila now. The writer wasn't telling us what to feel, but we saw some characters, right, say things like, "Oh, you Domitila," no, or rather say something like, prostitutes aren't worth it. That's a commentary from another character. And in that way, it has kinda told us how to feel. And then you can have a film like Freedom Way that says nothing. Like, no character told you. That one was very, like, crashed. But at the end, we now had something didactic, which personally I thought it was not needed. It's supposed to be reflective. You make of it what you would. That one was about, okay, we've not watched it, but the point is social commentary comes in two forms. Either the characters are the one telling you, or the story writer is the one telling you what to feel. But in a situation like this, we are asking Daniel as the director to commit to his own confirmation bias or our own confirmation bias. It seems as though we want to hear something. We want this film to say something. We want him to implicate himself so that they can come for his head. And I don't think we understand how dicey this is, because what are you going to say? Oh, you're so bold, you said this. And if they say you should come and prove it, you'll be able to. But one thing that you can get from newspaper clippings is how we've often heard that the so-called herdsmen are hardly herdsmen. They're actual bandits, and they are, it's a network. They are being funded by bigger terrorists, The point is, if you want a film to tell you what you like, confirmation bias, that's a different thing. You want him to say what exactly? The Muslims are the ones killing you. The herdsmen are the ones killing you. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I just, again, if we were speaking about sexual assault in films and the pushback was, well, somebody doesn't want to really expand more on this other than because like they're afraid of, or because of what people might say back. I don't know. I understand why it's a difficult subject to tackle, but I would say if you haven't figured a way to tackle it, then leave it alone. That's what I would say. But yeah. Anyway,
True.
that's about it. I think we've done 2.5 hours. The discussion I think towards the end, maybe we just said, I don't know where we're using the words differently in terms of social commentary or not. But I felt like if you enjoyed this film, you enjoyed it despite what it had to say, not because of what it had to say. That's how, I don't know, if people feel differently, obviously you're entitled to whatever feelings you have. But thanks everybody for the conversation on the herd. Thanks. We will we'll do this next Sunday. I think we have like two. We have two. I think there's one more film, and I think we might have 2 or 3 more NFCs before we close for the year. But thanks everybody, and we'll see you next week. Bye bye.
Thanks for listening to the episode. If you enjoyed listening and would like to join live, just follow us on Twitter at Iroko Critic and join us every Sunday 6 p.m. West African time on our spaces.